What is going on, guys? It's Adam aka Marf. Today's show is going to be packed a lot in a short amount of time, so stay tuned. We're going to tell you why you should have your head on a swivel. We'll be right back right after this. All right. What is going on, guys? My name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, this is a live call-in show. Today is not a call-in, it's a news-only show. So again, this number is null and void until tomorrow. Monday. We will be doing a Saturday and Sunday news video, so stay tuned for that. If you are not subscribed to our other channel, Marfoogle News, make sure to do so. And then nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show, including any mods. And of course, you should always do your own research and consult professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. With that being said, we actually take the time before every single show to back up the information that we are going to give you here today. Every single tweet, every single picture, every single video, every single article is going to be on our website at marfooglenews.com. In fact, it's very easy to navigate. You just look for today's thumbnail on a swivel, of course, with a head there. And then, of course, you will see that it is right there. And when you go to it, you'll see all of the articles. Today's show is called Stop Hitting Snooze. And when we go there, you'll see everything is there backed up. So it's a bibliography of all of our sources, so you know where exactly it's coming from. And then down below is our web-only content. We'll mention that later. That's stuff that we can't cover without being neutral. I do believe that this should be as neutral as possible. And then on the right side, if you want to support us in any way, we are independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. You are our backbone, and you have basically brought us up from nothing. So again, if you want to support us, all of our affiliates are there. There are different affiliates that we believe will either protect you or save your life eventually, or just help you in your general life. And then, of course, our PayPal and Amazon link are right there. If you click that box, if you already use Amazon, that's all I'm saying, that will not cost you anything extra, and it will help the show out at the same time. Let's bring in my co-host, Dex, and Internet Brother. What is going on, Dex, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, first off, we'll just get right into the news. Army discloses hypersonic LRHW range of 1,725 miles. It says, watch out, China. Launch of an Army-Navy Common Hypersonic Glide Body in Hawaii on March 19, 2020. It says, let's see here. It says, how far can the hypersonic boost glide missile and probably its naval variant actually go? Consider the Pacific Nightmare. China invades Taiwan, but all of America's allies refuse to let U.S. use their territory or airspace. So again, China invades Taiwan, but all of America's allies refuse to let the U.S. use their territory or airspace. This is actually a scenario that they did a severe drill. This is a real war game that they did. It says long-range hypersonic weapons based on U.S. soil in Guam could still strike Chinese troops besieging Taipei. So notice what they're doing here. They're coming out with a missile that has the range from Guam to directly go into Taiwan to basically strike their offense. First off, I have talked about this for a while. They are, and by they I mean China, have positioned themselves and basically said, we will take Taiwan eventually. It is going to be a part of mainland China again. It is just a matter of time. They have practiced. They have even set up, such things as an actual replica of their capital and actually drilled taking over their government buildings. They have flown up to 30 plus jets, actually, jets and boomers over it into their economic zone, into their airspace, and they're basically just drilling, getting ready for the real event. Now, there's been debate if they're going to do it. In my personal opinion, I believe that they will. It's just that if the U.S. actually steps up and protects them or backs them up. A lot of people think that they are not going to back up Taiwan. What people don't realize, though, is it has some of the most valuable resources to the U.S. economy there that probably could ever exist right now, especially their semiconductor chip factory, which basically is one of the very few places in the world that makes them and makes the majority of them. Those chips are used for almost everything. We are already at a shortage right now. Anything from, say, an average car uses 160 of these chips to your PlayStations, your power sheets, your freaking anything that you can think of that has any kind of electronic feature most likely has one of these chips in it. So now they're basically telling us that they have now come out with a missile that can go from there. I don't know why that our allies would not let us use their airspace. Maybe because they don't want to get involved. I don't know. Is this going to be such a big conflict that allies will even say, no, we're backing out? Sounds like something like that. What do you think, Dex?
Well, it just makes me wonder is if that's a big concern. Do the allies think that maybe that we don't stand a chance and they don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the losing battle?
I don't know. There's obviously a need for it if they made it. They're not just making it because, I guess they could. They could be just making it to go as far as possibly.
Well, I mean, look, it's a range. They said this is going to be at least this, but they didn't say what the max was. But the fact is that the amount they said was exactly what they needed, right? So it's sort of like, okay, we'll put out what we need to make sure we can say this and position ourselves against that threat.
So it sounds like they are trying to tell them, like, hey, buddies, it doesn't matter what you do or who you take. Well, think about this, too. What if they are expecting a lot of the other places where we would launch from to be under siege or under some sort of event? I want to rewind to the actual simulation that they ran right at the beginning of last year. Right when all this other stuff started, the stuff that we're all going through all over the world, right when that started, they did a simulation which was classified at the time. In fact, it just recently came out, where the simulation involved China taking all of the bases out, everything around the South China Sea, all of the U.S. bases, and Taiwan with a bio event. And I'm trying to be careful there, a bio event. And in this simulation, they take out all of this with a bio event, then take Taiwan, then use Taiwan to then launch from because it's closer, and then take out the U.S. In this simulation, not only did we lose, we lost fast. They said within a matter of weeks, we would be defeated in this route. So is this part of the response to that simulation and saying, hey, we just found an open door, now we need to close it? I think that happens all the time. I think that they do these simulations, they find a huge gap, and there's tons of gaps. That's the thing. People think that we are the strongest nation in the world. We are, but we have gaps. We have vulnerabilities just like every other country. China has gaps. Russia has gaps. Every country has their gaps. So they're trying to fill a gap here. That's what I think. But I also think that we are at the precipice of something massive. And I think that something is coming soon. And almost all of you agree, at least with the fact that we all are expecting something massive to happen. And it's more massive than what we just went through for the last year and a half. Think about that. Old-time radio, Pentagon's electronic warfare gear is dated, experts say. It says, let's see if we actually have here, we'll go to the original one here. That did not load right. By the way, thank you Latu fams for subscribing just now. TMDM, Nip47, Granny C, thank you, says be prepped up and prayed up. Thank you for being the last one out. Mark and Novelda Stefanoff, thank you for pledging $1 on Patreon. And then Undercover Prepper, thank you for the super chat. I think you are the first one today, so thank you. All right. So it says that the U.S. military is spending too little on new electronic gear, putting it behind China and Russia in the race to jam radios, spoof radars, and hide their emissions, experts and lawmakers said Tuesday. Dex, one thing about this that I don't know if this is right. I think it's just that most of our stuff is classified. But it's kind of crazy that lawmakers are saying this. It says a decade of past development is bringing new tools online, but too little of the approximately $10 billion per year allocated for electromagnetic warfare is being spent on what comes next. It says, while too much is being spent to maintain even older gear, said Brian Clark, a senior fellow director at the Center of Defense Concepts and Technology. And it says that speaking online during a Hudson Institute event, Clark said that the U.S. military needs to move away from having a small number of relatively large systems that are mostly devoted to protecting legacy platforms. So systems for the protection of aircraft that have self-protection jammers or ships that have counter-missile systems that use electromagnetic warfare. It says that the Chinese have a range of low and high-powered jammers and directed energy weapons. Just to highlight this, we now know that they have low and high-powered jammers and direct energy weapons. So the conflict is something that we've been talking about for a long time. And this article is suggesting, or this expert is suggesting, that even the U.S. is not as prepared as they should be because all of our adversaries are going towards EMP, electromagnetic pulse weaponry, direct energy. This is all a reality now. Remember, people got taken off of platforms for talking about direct energy just a few, even 6, 7, 8 months ago. Then the DOD, the Department of Defense, did a public press event and actually said that not only did China and Russia have them, but they've weaponized space. And it makes a lot of sense when you look at some of the weird events that have happened, like, amphibious carriers used to actually protect ourselves in island hopping exercises and things like this, catching fire for 5 days straight without an accelerant. A steel ship with, no frilly lace curtains or anything to catch fire, but somehow it still caught fire for 5 days in port. Just a few months after Chinese amphibious assault carrier, the exact same kind of ship on their side, caught fire in port for 5 days. Maybe it was a magnifying glass. Maybe God was treating it like an ant with a magnifying glass. Or maybe it was somebody who was playing God.
Well, I definitely think, we have tech and we have really advanced tech. But I think the what's happening here, what's being stated here is we maybe don't have enough of it or have deployed enough of it into unlike our adversaries where they may have more of it out in the field, right? We probably have it hiding back in R&D labs, but they've actually got it in use.
And they're bragging about pretty much everything that they come out with. That's what I've noticed. We watch all of the news all over the world. We actually have to use VPNs to access some of the news. Some of the news from other countries is actually blocked here. It's pretty crazy to think about that there is a huge funnel to the U.S. If you're in Europe and Australia, I would assume that you guys have the same issue there. I would highly recommend putting yourself somewhere else with a virtual private network. But again, that is something that everybody should do anyways. It says these new networks are better able to detect attacking forces even if those forces aren't emitting signals, he said. Quote, it makes it very challenging for U.S. forces, for instance, to know when they're being detected or possibly when they're being targeted. Representative Jin Langevin, DRI, said that the recent Pentagon budgets haven't put money towards the right mix of EW gear, electronic warfare gear. It says, I don't think they're prioritizing the right things in the budget, said Langevin, chair of House Armed Services Committee Subcommittee on Cyber, Innovative Technologies, and Information Systems. So he's on that committee that basically sees all of the stuff that's coming out of China and Russia, and he's saying, why aren't we putting money into this? It is kind of strange that the U.S. is not actually stepping up and protecting ourselves from this. Is that on purpose? Or is it just because we are being more secretive about it? I know that it is the automatic for most people, especially that are proud of this country, to say, oh, no, we got it. It's just secret. They're not going to tell us. But also just keep in mind, some think that the country may be infiltrated by some. Actually, I should say this. It is a fact that we do have infiltration in every country in the world. The U.S. has CIA and NSA in almost every government agency, and I'm sure they have the same. There is a reason why China has basically hacked and got almost all of our designs for most of our military equipment. I don't think it's just because they're good hackers. I think it's also because there might be a few inside guys. Same with other countries, smaller, like the Middle East countries. They have, of course, their agencies as well. They are infiltrated. So you have to take into account infiltration into different agencies in different countries. But, what do you guys have to say about it? For the glory of Christ, thank you over on DLive to Shiznit. We've got podcast fan Just Hillbilly. Just a Hillbilly says the military does a lot more than Congress knows about. Yes, no, I believe that because they think that the Congress is the enemy, or they know. Vow Channel, decades old. Yes, well, very well, you could be right. Definitely Marf, says Latoya Stamps, and Maria Foster, thank you for coming in tonight. Oh, I love it. Geographically Free says only 484 likes. Smash it, friends. Hey, thank you. Again, I'm surprised there's even 484. That's absolutely awesome considering we're about 10 minutes in. So thank you. If you do find value in any of this, that like tells the algorithm that there's a good percentage of you that actually like this. So again, it's pretty simple and it doesn't cost you a thing. It says, quote, the requirements right now are really hardware driven, with software treated as a back office support system that really needs to change, Langevin said. One of the problems is that, the services and their budgets revolve around protecting legacy systems like ships and airplanes. And, the bottom line is we need to be more nimble. We need to innovate. We need to focus more on software as a technology. So I believe he is 100% right. And they can see the budget, though. They do know that the Congress, there's probably that secret budget that they have going, right? But I do believe the Congress has their thumb on where, how much money is going out. And obviously there's not enough money going towards this stuff. I do believe they're right, because we've heard other stuff from our military groups in our groups that basically say that we are spending a lot of money on the old school stuff. Like hardware, like actual, weapons and actual ships and Navy ships that right now are being bombarded by drones coming up to them, and they didn't have a technology to hit them down until recently. Think about that. If we have our big old ship with a whole crew of ships around it, that's great. But what if they have 10,000 drones all equipped with something, and we can only knock 9,900 out of the sky and 100 hit? That's still a win for them, and it's cheap for them to manufacture. So drone technology and everything else is going to be a big part of this next war that is coming. So we'll see how they do it. And it says the U.S. West is facing white knuckle summer with power in short supply. Dex, do you want to talk about this?
Well, I mean, we've had our issues with power. We keep talking about power, and here it is. They're going to go ahead and tell us in advance, get ready that, basically from New Mexico to Washington, the power grids are going to be strained. And, what that's going to, basically they're telling us, get ready. It's going to happen, right? It's kind of frustrating. I know when people are without power, it can be a very challenging thing, and especially on the West Coast, they've gone through rolling blackouts before. We just saw this in another country, in Taiwan, and now we're talking Texas. About it happening here, right? And in Texas with the ice and snow, right? That was a really big deal. So, all the more reason that you should be thinking about making sure you're prepared for that scenario. Like if that scenario happens where you live, then you need to be able to deal with it.
So that's again, there are reasons why we pick the affiliates we do. That's why we have, we've actually told people to go with something like an EMP shield before we worked with EMP shield. Again, this is why we have shown you everything that you possibly need to know. Like, we've called it. Frankly, there is going to be an issue with power, and they know it. Why are they not, why are they not doing more? Why are they now reversing things and trying to do less about this? That is what I don't understand. We know we're going to have one of the worst problems in the world, at least here in the U.S. I don't know what the UK is doing about it. We have followed some of the things they've done, but they've had satellites knocked down. They've had all sorts of stuff happen. First, they struck California, then Texas. Now blackouts are threatening the entire U.S. West, as nearly a dozen states head into summer with too little electricity. It says from New Mexico to Washington, power grids are being strained by forces years in the making. Some of them fueled by climate change, others by the fight against it. If a heat wave strikes the whole region at once, the rolling outages that darkened Southern California and Silicon Valley last August will have been previews, not flukes. Do you see what mainstream is telling us and what they are telling us above them? The 6 families that run all these things. They're letting us know that this is going to happen. They're getting us prepared for it. Why do you think Elon Musk pulled off of Bitcoin and then said it's because it takes up too much energy, right? This is all putting seeds in our head. I hope people realize that. Mark my words, for the 2,500 that are here, watch. At least this even almost gives us a time frame. And you think it's not. Watch. It's something that is put out through all of it, and it puts a seed in your head. Basically, now you're mentally, you understand why it's happening. It says, it's really the same case in different parts of the West, said Elliot Mainzer, Chief Executive Officer of the California Independent System Operator, which runs most of the state's grid. Quote, it revealed competition for scarce resources that we haven't seen in some time. It says the specter of blackouts highlights a paradox of the clean energy transition, extreme weather fueled by change, and is exposing cracks in society's move away from fossil fuels. Even as that shift is supposed to rein in the worst of global warming. It says states shuttering coal and gas-fired power plants simply aren't replacing them fast enough to keep pace with the vagaries of an unstable climate. And the region's existing power infrastructure is woefully vulnerable to wildfires which threaten transmission lines. It says drought and once abundant hydropower resources and heat waves will affect all of this. It says on Wednesday, California's grid managers warned that while they're better positioned than last summer, the risk of power shortages during extreme heat remains a clear possibility. For many, California's power crisis in 2020 was the first indication of how serious the regional power shortfall actually had become. It said, well, the blackouts highlighted the state's reliance on solar power. It said a resource that ebbs in the evening just as demand picks up. An equally significant problem with California's dependence on imported electricity, and it says that utilities routinely source power supplies from out of state, drawing electricity across high voltage transmission lines to wherever it's needed. But last summer, neighboring states coping with the same heat wave as California were straining to keep their own lights on, and imports were hard to come by. So basically all of these other states, Arizona, they were all going through their own heat waves. They needed their air conditioners on, so they were less likely to send the power over to California. And they were saying, no, we're going to charge you this or you just don't get it. So they didn't get it. So then they had to do these rolling blackouts where they knocked out people's powers. Do you remember people called in last year and people were out for 4 or 5 days? And some of them even had their neighbor across the street with power on. It all depended, and they didn't know. They could call, and they would not know exactly when their power was coming back on. How do you actually tell just a regular citizen that owns their property, owns their home, hey, you're not going to have power for 5 days, or you're going to not have power for an undescribed amount of time? You don't know. So the hundreds of dollars of groceries, in fact, the probably $500 worth of inflated groceries that you just bought are now going to go bad. Otherwise, you have to spend more just to try to figure out a way, buy a generator to keep those cold. This is going to get worse, and you guys all know it. I don't really have to tell this audience, anything. But if you are new here, like, just look back. We're taking all of the stuff that they plant seeds in our head, and we put it together and look at it critically, because they tell us almost everything that's going to happen before it happens. Look at the event now. There was the 201. They said before that there was the WO, and they actually put out that they were expecting a demic. We showed you that 4 months before it started. They said that they were expecting one soon. We told you to get prepared for it. People were prepared. When all the shelves were empty, a lot of the Foogle fam had stuff. If you don't believe me, ask any of the Foogle fam that were here. We did a whole month on the coming demic. Now, what we believe, and this is going off of everything from military to where they're putting their money to what seeds they're planting in our head, is that we are going to lose power at some point. It's a matter of when, not if. And some places like California, they're almost guaranteed. If you're in California right now, you're most likely going to go through this summer. But I think that this is something that, you can't really defend against. But I would say have generators, have extra stuff. Tesla is backing up the Texas grid, the power plants, as far as I know. And again, nobody has debunked that yet. Do you know, Dex, has anyone debunked that? What it was is mainstream came out and said that Tesla was spotted putting in giant, huge, building-sized backup batteries with the Texas grid after what happened with the snow and their extreme power outages.
That's still going forward. I don't think they debunked it at all. And they were large enough to like, was it 2,400 or 25, maybe 25,000 homes could run off of it. I think it was pretty significant.
Yeah, a battery that can power 25,000 homes. Imagine the size of that thing. It's like basically a giant Tesla battery.
Well, and the other thing, you just said get generators. We've talked about things that people should be prepared for and get things ahead of time, whether it was the things you cover your face for. We talked about that months before it happened. Now is one of those times, like you're in that lull, right? We're not in the winter time where we've had the big outage in Texas and all that. We're not, a hurricane didn't just roll through Florida and everybody's bought every, generator that's online. Now is sort of that lull period. So it's probably a good thing to get and make sure you have if you don't have one. And I know I posted one a while back too.
Well, I know, but most people say, we can't afford one. This is when you start, even if it takes a month, start putting aside a little bit. Even take months. Put aside $10 instead of doing a super chat. Put aside $10 to get something later on. I would highly recommend getting generators, getting stuff like that. Having candles, having batteries, all sorts of stuff. And if nothing happens, there is no downside as long as you do it responsibly. If you do it responsibly and, don't sell your house and go off and do something crazy, I think that this is not a bad thing to do. It is a matter of time before the next big event. So I hope people are listening. We're going to talk about the pipeline here in a second here, but I do want to go over and thank you. The Z Phase. Marv, have you looked at Cyber Polygon? Remember event 1 in 2019? I think this deserves a look. Yes, I have looked into it. In fact, it is basically their cyber version of what is happening right now. And they say that it could be the same way, only it's a cyber event. Yes, I would highly recommend everybody Google that. We will be covering it in the future. I just found out about it actually this morning, and I believe it was the Dollar Vigilante on Instagram that let me know that. And then Masshole to Florida Man, May 26th, June 14th, it begins. Yes, I believe if you were talking about that, I believe that is the day, right? And then God bless you and yours. Lord Jesus Christ will rapture his bride, soon be devoted to Jesus Christ only, says Awake 2. Well, Awake 2, thank you for the super chat and thank you for the comment. And really, I do appreciate that. Mark and Novelda Stefanoff, again, thank you for being here. Over on D Live, thank you everybody that has popped in. Texas Rob 49 says much love, Marfia. We've got Mr. Farky Hars, Lady Mel, Bear Claws, Vault 111 says, you think outages will happen in places like Indiana? I don't know what your weather is like, but I'm not talking about what I personally think will happen is not an outage, but who knows what they'll say it is. Stoplight, Johnny Fry Guy, Bruce Leroy. And in Indiana, I don't know if you have a record of I don't think that what their heat is like or what their storms are like, but I don't know. Not sure how Stampede is going to happen, says Groovy Grandma. Hey, how are you? And thanks for coming in tonight. And then we've got Blowtorch Barbie, and Notso, and Pambeth, Jafarm 2. We've got Road to Hana, Carolina Roots, Cloud Pharrell, Surgery. What's going on? All sorts of awesome people in here tonight. Hey, Marf and Dex, Mods and Foogle Fam, great job. DFW Jackie, Priscilla R, Trust No One. Is that what it says? Yes, trust no one. I actually agree with that. Texas Rob 49, Marfia is the bee's knees. Bear Lover 92,000. Maui Racing Realtor, Laura Griffith, Homemade J, or Homemade Joy. I can't talk. It says a nasty pipeline showdown is brewing today in Michigan, Canada, and Canada is pissed. All right, before we get to this one, I do want to remind you, if you do want to protect yourself against an EMP, an actual electronic warfare type, or even a natural one, like a solar flare like the Carrington event, you can do so. There is a company called EMP Shield. They are not only contracted with agencies like DHS and DOD, but they're also now on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. Make sure to go over to marfuglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off per device when you use our link and when you use our code. Again, there is now a contest running with Israeli News Live. Make sure to head over to marfuglenews.com/contest if you want to enter. The winner will get to actually pick their choice of a device. Of course, there's devices for your generators, there's devices for your ham radio, for your house, for your car. The best-selling one, of course, being the car. And they're not cheap, so they are a professional device. They are the same device that, of course, military agencies are using. So it is a real deal Holyfield type of thing. If you don't, at least go give it a try. All you have to do is a few things, and there's multiple ways to enter daily. All right, and then there's a showdown happening. It says, seizing the profits of a major oil company making Canadians angry, tugboats causing havoc. It's all happening in Michigan right now. The mandated shutdown of a major oil pipeline is brewing into a nasty fight that pits Michigan's governor and environmental groups against a fossil fuel company, as well as the country of Canada. At issue are two pipelines owned and operated by Enbridge, an energy company headquartered in Canada that ferry crude oil and natural gas to the U.S. via the Straits of Mackinac. It says a shipping canal in Michigan that connects two of the Great Lakes. The two pipelines are collectively known as Line 5, and they're pretty crappy shape. The lines were built in 1953, but were only designed to last 50 years. It is now, 72 years later? It says essentially been stalling on making major repairs or replacements for close to 2 decades. Even before the pipelines met their expiration date, Line 5's safety record has been pretty abysmal. Records collected by researchers in 2017 show that the pipeline has spilled at least 1.3 million gallons of fossil fuels in 30 separate incidents. Man, imagine being there for that. Look at that. 1.13 million gallons since 1968. It says a series of high-profile safety flukes in recent years haven't done much to assuage fears. In 2010, another Enbridge line spilled 1 million gallons of oil into the Kalamazoo River, prompting concerns about the safety of Line 5. And in 2018, a tugboat anchor, of all things, dented the Line 5 pipeline and caused a minor spill. Well, in 2020, Enbridge disclosed that different anchors had also damaged another area of the pipeline, right next to a spot where the protective coating had worn off. Sounds really safe, doesn't it? Dex, now when they don't fix this kind of stuff, this basically ends up being a huge issue later on, and then everybody will start talking about it. But of course, now they know about it and they're not doing anything, right?
Well, yeah, certainly. And also when I hear this, I also have to think that there's two sides to every story here. I don't know the other side of the story, and I'm not going to pick sides on this story. But there's a big debate going on about whether or not they want to shut these off or not. And obviously one person is taking a position on it, and these are their reasons why. And there's a lot of other people that are saying, hey, we need that. We need that because that is how we heat our homes. It's, by the way, everybody's still looking for gas right now. There's a lot of things that are going on, and this is not the time to do that. So that's two sides to this debate. And I don't know if there's, maybe a whole other side to the way this was written by this point, but the point I'm making is that this is a big deal, and it is to Michigans. One of our callers last night was going to Noah, who couldn't get on the air, had to go back to work. He was calling to talk about this, so it's kind of frustrating for a lot of folks in Michigan.
And hasn't this caused a huge problem for the local Native Americans as well in Canada, or is that a different pipeline?
No, that's the other one. That's the one that was shut down immediately after the administration changed.
Wow.
That's a different pipeline.
Okay, I'm glad. I would get them confused. As a civilian, we don't know about this kind of stuff. Now, it says U.S. warns extremists may strike as virus restrictions ease. This is this is the Associated Press, people. So this is as trustworthy as they say, right? And what are they telling us? They're telling us that their information says that there's going to be some sort of, there is most likely, more likely to be an extreme events strike because of the restrictions easing. It's like, hey, be scared. Once they ease up, you should be scared, because then that's when the boogeyman comes out.
It's funny. It's ironic, I should say, that this story is here, because just before the story came out, I was talking with a family member, and they're like asking me about what's going on and how does that affect us and what's next. And I'm like, well, what's next is we'll probably see something of the T-type event here, and that would be my next logical thing of how something like this could escalate. And then boom, this comes out.
And so, just so you know, it says a national terrorism alert issued Friday warns that violent, extreme people may take advantage of the easing of restrictions to conduct attacks. Really? So what information is this based on? It says the alert does not cite any specific threats, but it warns of potential danger from an increasingly complex and volatile mix that includes domestic, inspired by various grievances and influences from abroad. Keep your head on a swivel, people. This is as clear as it gets that something is about to be put on the world stage.
And the other thing, they're not telling us which type, right? This could easily be directed at people that voted a certain way, just as much as it could be directed at people coming in with grievances towards our country from another country, right?
Yeah, this doesn't say if it's going to be the I country, the middle E, or if it's going to be middle Steve. You guys get what I'm saying? So, or I guess he's not in the middle. He's right Steve. extremists may seek to exploit the easing of CV-related restrictions across the United States to conduct against a broader range of targets after previous public capacity limits reduced opportunities for lethal attacks. It says, without naming any specific potential it notes that historically extreme people motivated by and ethnic have targeted religious institutions and crowded businesses or gatherings. I give it less than a month before we see one of these events, those type of things, and there will probably be some sort of manifesto. There will probably be some letter or some social. In fact, right now, as we speak, I bet there's somebody that has a social media account that is putting out huge signs that they're going to do something very soon here, but they're not going to catch it until afterwards. And then let's just put the whole thing out there. They're going to go back and go, the FBI knew about this. They were warned 4 times. In fact, he had it on his Facebook. He was even being looked at in 2009 and in 2018 and in 2019. He was arrested for threatening to do something. And we found this piece of paper. We even found pipe things in his house. This hasn't happened yet. Just wait. That's just my crazy prediction. Because it's not predictable whatsoever. It isn't, right? Anything could happen. The National Tea Advisory System bulletin issued by the Department of Homeland Security is an extension of one issue earlier this year in the wake of January on the U.S. cap. And it says that alert was due to expire Saturday. The previous bulletin warned of lingering potential for months from people motivated by anti-sentiment after President J.B. election. It says suggesting that the embolden and set the stage for additional. The first one was, I don't know. The one thing I will say is I don't believe it was an actual attack in the first place. Just saying. The one thing that I don't understand is now that we have looked back at everything that came out about that day, everything that was like hyped up to here got reduced to almost nothing. People realize that now, right? And 5 turned into 1. 5 slowly picked off, oh, well, that was that. That was a heart attack. That was this. And then slowly it got down to 1. And we still don't know who the other one was that took that one out. That unarmed person. So we'll see what happens. That creeps me out. Head on a swivel, people. NASA partners with Deep Ocean Explorers to develop tech for Europa mission. What do you guys think? What's going on? Texas Rob 49, Cali Cowboy is in the house. Says, I think everyone should prep and be more prep. Here's the thing. I don't think we've ever seen a big thing yet. This isn't, I'm talking big like Japanese tsunami big. Like, just massive thing that you never forget. Not something that they won't let you forget, right? Priscilla R. Bunny H.A. says, I know a piece of the puzzle regarding Bum G ship in South Dakota. Bum G ship. Well, Bunny Ha, let me know. Email me, adam@marfooglenews.com, or email Dex at marfooglenews.com. Email us both if you have something. Says, I'm back like Action Jackson. Mafia rules. Thank you, Texas Rob. Thanks for your continued support. Seriously. Gem, Wonder Woman 13. What is going on? Says, I'm back. It's me, April Osborne. Missed you all. Well, April, everybody's got life going on, so I don't blame you. Texas Rob 49 again. Thank you for the massive support over there. Says de Blasio's V video was disgusting. Just saying. I haven't seen it. Texas Rob.
Yeah, we posted that if people want to see it.
Oh,
it's on
we
last
did.
Night's show. Yeah.
You talking about magnets and stuff, right?
No. That's a different one. We posted. This was the mayor in New York eating French fries and a hamburger.
Yeah, they're offering you all sorts of free stuff if you do it. Hey, they might even, they might even take you to a hotel. I don't know. The new underwater vehicle called Orpheus, cool name like Morpheus, relies on autonomous navigation software developed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL, in California for the Mars Perseverance rover and the Ingenuity helicopter. The primary task for the mini submarine, which was built by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, or the abbreviation I can't even say because I can say I, in Massachusetts, will be to advance humanity's understanding of the deepest regions of the oceans, the so-called Hadel Zone, with trenches and troughs. I know down there is whales. I don't even know why. With troughs as deep as 20,000 feet and 36,000 feet, the Hadel Zone presents similar challenges to those experienced by exploration vehicles on other planets, Russell Smith, a roboticist at JPL, said during an online conference. It says, there are quite a few similarities between Earth's deep ocean and space exploration.
Oh, really?
Yeah, including probably the same sets. Smith said, citing data-constrained communication requiring a lot of autonomy, but also challenging environmental conditions that require a lot of engineering work to deal with. To navigate in the dark, unexplored depths, Orpheus, they called it Orpheus, like an, I don't know, like an orifice? Or is that orifice? Orpheus will rely on terrain relative navigation, or TERN, technology that NASA developed for the Mars 2020 mission. TERN helped Perseverance land safely in Jezero crater on February 18th and has guided the Ingenuity helicopter during its pioneering flights. So it says, quote, the vehicle then uses those features to navigate. It's like you walking into a living room and recognizing a couch and a TV. Robots do exactly the same thing. Basically, it will be able to look around and identify significant features in the surroundings. Sounds like something that, we've already had, but I guess it's a little bit different. Well, so we'll follow that. We'll try to get pictures of it and try to get video of it when it does come out.
Orpheus is Greek mythology, something about going to the underworld.
Is it? That's
that's what it is. I'm pretty sure.
Kind of a dark name, huh? Taking us to the underworld. Maybe it and CERN can do a collab. Israel pounds to curb the militants, but rockets still fly. So if you remember yesterday, we covered that they actually were trying to do a truce with but Is says, nope, we're not giving up now. You already messed up, or at least that's publicly what they're saying. It says that the pre-dawn offensive is the biggest in the conflict so far. Militants fired rockets at the town for the 5th day. Egypt leading diplomatic efforts to secure ceasefire. And, of course, it says the largest operation against a specific target since the conflict began included 160 aircraft, as well as tanks and artillery firing from outside the strip. Military spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus said. Rocket barrages against southern swiftly followed the 40-minute pre-dawn offensive on the 5th day of the most serious fighting between and Gaza militants since 2014. It says, I'll get past, they always put in who it's affected. Both sides have said that women and children and all this stuff, that, we don't know which side. We're not there. I would love it if we had people actually there. I would like to probably talk to Stephen Benoon and see, I know he actually does talk to a few people over there, and I would like to know, I'm not going to, people take sides because of their religion, but you also have to look at what's going on. There's a lot of shady stuff going on in general. And remember, has the Iron Dome defense system. Palestine doesn't. And basically, from what it sounded like Palestine said, like, we want a ceasefire, and they said no. So I don't know. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me in the chat below or comment down below what you think is really going on there. It says, what we are targeting is an elaborate system of tunnels that spans underneath Gaza. It says, mostly in the north, but not limited to, is a network that the operatives use in order to move, in order to hide, for cover. It says, we refer to it as the Metro, he said, adding that a final assessment of the outcome of the operation was pending. Warplanes on Friday boomed the houses of 3 senior military commanders in central Gaza. It doesn't even... Couldn't just take them out completely if they wanted to? Sounds like they don't have the same kind of military firepower, do they?
Yeah, I think it's kind of obvious that there's a heavy hitter here, which is probably trying to be more strategic about how they're going about what they're doing. But as the next article talks about, I know that the numbers that they've moved up into on the ground, that's kind of a big deal, because the more people on the ground that are actually doing things as opposed to in air, that just again escalates to a greater level, because you start, it's a little bit different than shooting a rocket, right?
And it does say that Israeli military buildup of the forces on the border has raised speculation about a possible repeat of ground invasions during an Gaza in 2014 and 2009. But an incursion looked unlikely given ISIS's reluctance to risk a sharp increase in military casualties on their turf. It says at least 2 owners of tankers delivering crude oil to asked to divert to Ashkelon to the port of Haifa for farther north of Gaza because of the conflict. Shipping sources said on Friday an industrial zone near Ashkelon was hit by a rocket on Tuesday, damaging a fuel storage tank. Now, also to put in there is that right now there's extra fire going on here, and I think that there hasn't been kind of a bigger thing that will actually make it 100% easy for them to do what they're doing. Seems like there's a lot of public kind of propaganda on both sides to gain support. I don't know. It sounds like they're already out of conflict, but back in 2009 and 2014, who would push the border? Who would push it to the point where it's actually going to become something way worse? We don't know. So we're following it. Jammer, what's going on? Thank you for gifting subs out to Karen from Columbus and Holiday Kisser. That is awesome. Thank you. And then Anna McLean, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Death rises as Palestinians flee fire in Gaza. It says Palestinians grabbed their children and belongings and apparently fled neighborhoods on the outskirts of Gaza on Friday as released a heavy barrage of tank fire and airstrikes. Israel said that it was clearing a network of militant tunnels. Separately, the West Bank health officials said that 7 Palestinians were killed by army fire in several locations. has amassed troops along the border and called up 9,000 reservists as fighting intensifies with the military group Hamas. It says which controls the strip. Militants have fired some 1,800 rockets, and the has launched more than 600 airstrikes, toppling at least 3 high-rise apartment buildings, and has shelled some areas with tanks stationed near the frontier.
That's a lot of rockets, dude, and that's a lot of airstrikes.
Well, and
when
whole
this started,
buildings.
there was like 5,000 going to the border, and if they're pulling up 9,000 more, that's the numbers are probably even higher than that.
So now I heard a number close to 25,000. So even think about this, how big of a deal this is. Imagine when Russia had 150,000 troops at the border of Ukraine, which was, in my opinion, their practice run. So obviously something's brewing there. And then inside is more with an arsenal of 30,000 rocket kamikaze drones and skunk water. Dex, do you want to talk about this?
I mean, skunk water. Who what's going on there? That's got to be the most interesting thing, right?
So what is skunk water?
Tell me. I've never seen skunk water before, but obviously there's a lot of new technologies or new things that are coming out, or just different tactics that are being used here. And but skunk water is a liquid with an overpowering odor, and I think we talked about this in old conflict where, but yeah, it has a huge odor. It's described of smelling like sewage mixed with rotting
dead people.
Yeah.
This is
and it's just
So this is what they're actually doing. They are putting perished people into a mix of basically sewage and using that. It says it is a concoction.
Well, it's the smell they're making. I don't know if it doesn't say they're really using those people, but yeah.
No. I know, but they're using this for something. It says it is a concoction of chemicals that causes intense nausea, obstructing normal breathing, and leads to violent gagging and vomiting. It basically, it's a professional, just a, you can't stop, Security forces claim that it is non-lethal and non-toxic, yet high doses can have a lethal effect. Wait a second. It's non-lethal and non-toxic, yet high doses can have a lethal effect. Just an effect, though.
So what's a dose? Is it like you have to drink it, or is it just smelling it?
Look at this. When fired from a water cannon, it is sprayed at an extremely high pressure, which can cause serious injury. So do they have this in like those, riot tanks? Man, I wonder if they thought about this for Chaz. That would have been, I guess they would have to import the, that wouldn't have worked. This article, though, is very fascinating. If you want to go over, this is going to be at marfooglenews.com. It shows a lot of people don't know what the Iron Dome is. In fact, a lot of people thought that it was something that I heard a comment, somebody saying that it was something from Red Alert 2, the computer game, and thought it was something different. And basically what it is it's the chief defense system is the multi-billion-pound Iron Dome. It's a mobile air defense system that aims to shoot down enemy missiles entering the country. First deployed in 2011, the dome typically intercepts about 85% to 95% of rockets. The IDF claims it's operating at 90% success rate. So when they send in rockets, they do another rocket, and somehow it pins and actually impacts the rockets and hits them out of the sky. If you've seen the videos that we posted last week of the kind of early morning, nighttime shots blowing up in air, they even track and then follow and then smash into them. It's pretty crazy stuff.
The other one that's in this article was the kamikaze drones. That was the other one I thought that was interesting. Because we've talked about this. We've talked about these drones being used. And, as I mentioned earlier, I thought, one side of this, the IS country is obviously stacked with equipment and technology where the other is not. This is one of the examples of the other side making use of newer lightweight technology and trying to, improvise.
Yeah, and improvisation is definitely the word to use here. Now, it looks like I missed a couple people here. It says, Teresa Horton says, I also stocked up on diaper wipes. Let's see here. I wanted to see that whole message, and it didn't show me. To clean up in case you lose electricity and have no hot water. So, extremely smart there. I hope a lot of people are doing that, but just don't go overboard and leave none for anybody else. Born a Hawkeye says, never thought I'd search for gas for hours in Florida. It happened. This isn't a joke anymore. They've told us. They gotta go. Says Born a Hawkeye. And by the way, Born a Hawkeye, you've been here for 3 years now. You're one of the oldest Foogles, so thank you. Two old people on a couch because something else is coming. Exactly, an answer to my question. Teresa Horton, hello there, just saying, I know if I have an elderly relative, I would make sure they had a battery-powered fan with two with all of these expected heat waves. Teresa Horton, I think that's a great idea. Although fans can just make it worse sometimes. Just blow around the hot air. Thanks for all the hard work. Edward Walker, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ilea, I missed yours. None of the JABS are FDA approved or licensed. That means no restitution for loved ones if those injured or perished. I'm not getting it. Ilea, I'm so glad you... It's funny because I'm so glad you see it that way. Masshole to Florida Man. Again, thank you. Ilea, thunderstorms expected in Northern California tomorrow. Please pray for no crazy fires. That is a really good point. Lisa K, thank you so much for the super sticker. Undercover Prepper, I appreciate you. And then Free Life Tass. Again, thank you. So let's... I do want to sum up some stuff. Over on the website, there is a bunch of stuff. Also, if you want to protect yourself against cyber threats, I highly recommend getting yourself a virtual private network. There is a lot of reasons, but mostly it can protect you against all sorts of crime that is happening right now. Again, this is basically something that helps put your IP address somewhere else, but it also it actually helps block all of your information. It prevents data logging, which a lot of these companies and countries are doing, and it actually works on 6 simultaneous devices at the same time for one price. Right now, if you get 2 years with our code, you'll actually get a 3rd whole year for free. Before it was this is actually a better sale. Somehow better than the 70% off because they actually throw in about 2 extra months. So again, go over to marfooglenews.com/VPN. You'll help support the channel and you will earn access to all sorts of stuff by using a VPN. There's a lot of regional lock stuff. You can put yourself in any place. It's actually kind of fun. You can put yourself in France and get different Netflix videos, or you can put yourself in a different country. If you have Google, Facebook, or any of those that are blocked wherever you live, that is when you get a VPN. You can go somewhere else and then access those locked websites. So, again, check it out. Thank you all for your support. Kahaja Flygirl says, get a solar fan. That's a good idea. D Frustrated says, F, you stop going out like salt cracker. Well, I can't say that, but I get what you're saying. I feel your pain. Texas Rob 49, did I miss anybody? I'm seeing double. And... they've been fighting for years, all biblical, Marf. Yes, you are totally right about that. When is the biblical stuff going to come to a point, though? Dex is the bee's knees, says Texas Rob 49. That's awesome. And Jem, thank you for being here almost every show. That Chalky Gal, I appreciate you. Jem, have you even missed a show? There's a lot of people that have not missed a show. And otherwise, I see them in the comments on the replay. John Boldenbow worked for Enbridge, told to cover it, Priscilla R. says. The Approaching Storms, thanks for the lemon. Cassie Lynn, thank you. Ears Up, I appreciate you. Okay, I missed some people. Cali Cowboy, thank you. I'm believing someone we all know, think cartoons, is involved, although he is gone many years. Priscilla R. I'm believing someone we all know, think cartoons, is involved, although he is gone many years. Dex, do you get that?
I think of cartoons, I think of Simpsons. But he's not gone.
I'm believing someone we all know, think cartoons. I like riddles. And then thank you for reading this, says Priscilla. Texas Rob, thank you. It says killing it. Well, I appreciate it. This is actually, so I think that everybody needs to get their stuff together. Tower Bear, thank you. Lady Mel, everybody that popped in tonight. Kaja Flygirl, thank you for the Ninja Genie. Thank you for the bigger support there. We really do appreciate it. All right. Let's see here. So on the website, Dex, can you go over some of the content here?
Sure. The saga in Arizona continues. It seems like that'll be going on for a while. Some interesting stuff there with Hillary. I'll just leave it at that. And you can look that up on our website. And then some other stuff about Cat Dog Cat and the changes that came out and who's going to go with it and who's not going to go with it.
This Rick Grinnell article, that's a good one. Cheney, that is a good one as well. This one, there's just so much right there. In fact, today's web-only content is really, really good. We'll be covering some other stuff here soon. We are working on some big projects, guys, and I want to just appreciate everybody here that has stuck with us. I also want to announce that I might, in the next couple weeks, might be taking a period of 4 or 5 days off to try to work on my film. When we do this daily show, this takes a lot of time out. And there's a lot you can't do when you're doing a daily show. It's very hard to do this and then to put all of your focus into something else. So I don't know yet. Might wait until after that. I was thinking maybe the weekend before Memorial Weekend and actually working on Memorial Weekend, but I don't know. So thank you everybody for supporting us right now. It's really, really appreciated, especially during these like weird times. Pam B, thank you for your PayPal support during the show. And Bayberries A, thank you for your PayPal support. You can always write a message there too if you do end up doing that. Thank you. Of course, obviously they take less, so it is appreciated. Joyce Mitchell, thank you for just subscribing. Zodiac Freak, Camzen, again, thank you for joining the Foogle fam. Latu Fams, Jeremy Pauly, Emmanuel Juarez, Lisa Benham, thank you for joining during the show. If you do subscribe during the show, if you're not subscribed, don't be a jerko. Make sure to push that button, and you will get shout-outs. No matter, I'll catch you later. I'll do it sometime. And then Kelly H., Kat, Casey Philbrook, Diane Socha, and Christy Vertrees, Maria Cordero over the last 2 weeks have pledged on Patreon. Thank you, guys. All right, you guys, it is time to go. It is now officially time for the shoutro. Dex, it's not an outro. It's not a... What is it?
It's not a shout-out.
Well, then, what is it?
It's a shoutro.
Say it one more time.
It's a shoutro.
It's where I say thank you to everybody that matters. It's the credits for the show. Only it's your names, not mine.
You do is gonna be the man. I said I got the liquor, wine, and the motor coffee. Everybody want a cup of me. No touch Bobby. I said, a Sherry Circle, the color purple, respiratory Jamie. I just wanna see the YouTube view and the Randy Man with the hammer. Everybody really wanna see. By the way, thank you to the top supporters tonight. I'm going to go over and see who those are. Definitely on YouTube, I believe. Our top supporter was Tabitha Kelly. No, wait, let's see here. I don't know. I think it's a tie. Undercover Prepper was definitely up there. Awake 2, thank you, everybody. Awake 2, I see everything that you do. Awake 2, I see everything you do. Da, 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 da. Everybody wanna know a nice school. Gotta drag her to my soul, wanna go. Have a great weekend, shall we? On now. Gonna go when I'm in zone now. Maybe they will figure it out in Arizona. Jesus said no one understands, no one seeks God. And I just say on top, oh, gonna hop on in the iPad mermaid. Watch her do and everybody Kool-Aid, drinking up like a red or yellow pill, no blue. I said the funky on the team Angel, got the Amy Harley, Mark Hall, and the Bill. Feed them 777 and I did them all now. I gotta see who's on top and sing them a song. Cause it's been a real long time and I'm getting right along. Texas Rock 49 all the time. I get it all. Texas Rock 49 all the time, never leaving my side. Texas Rock 49 all the time, never leaving my side. Texas Rock 49 all the time, never leaving my side. Texas Rock 49 all the time, never leaving my side. Texas Rock 49 all the time, never leaving my side. Texas Rock 49 all the time, never leaving my side. Now we got a number 2, Priscilla R. She walks so far. In the shadow of the good, the shadow of the light. Everybody wants to push and fight, but she only pushes up everyone around her. These four waters gonna be on down. Jeannie F. Chandler, peaceful waters, and respiratory giant. Everybody wanna be so happy, I just wanna be plain. Venus and Bug at 45, going back around and now we're doing alright. B-side off that top of the side. Denim most Friday 64 snap, blue snaps, and Amy Harley. Angela, local wover up on going back around now, got that down. KB and G Rossies and got them hairy balls. Hairy balls. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre, Mr. Rizar. It's so bizarre, Mr. Rizar. It's so bizarre, Mr. Rizar. I got the funky on the Priscilla R, walking so far. Never never gonna go. Who's number one, number one is my boy. Who's number one, drama one. Who's number one, drama one. Who's number one, drama one. Who's number one,
Oh, I messed it up. I'm messed.
I did it all. Gotta speed it up now. Don't bring it. I'm gonna go down for the coffee and yes, I will sing it. AJW 1984 and